both for water and runway. Taking off from ground usually consists 4 segments: level ground rule, rotation, transition, and flight. The figure 1 just illustrates the basic aircraft taken off from ground. To comply with the FAR 25 airworthiness requirement, the minimum intended operation runway length must be greater than or equal to both the normal taking off length and its balance fuel length. The method for calculating each segment distance can be found in the book Aircraft Design: A Conceptual Approach. I'm sorry about so many questions in my presentation. So the total taking off distance, just adding all the segments together and times by a safety factor of 1.15. Balance fuel length is just basically the runway required in case of one engine failure. The crew can decide either to continue takeoff and climb to the HOBS or decelerate to a full stop within this balance fuel length. Also, this formula is given in that book. The average thrust is calculated by this imperial formula for a typical aircraft. Second is landing on ground. It also can be divided into 4 segments: approaching, flare, free roll, and braking. Each segment can be calculated by those formulas, and the safety factor is 1.66. For a typical military aircraft, approaching speed is 1.2 Vstall, and the touching down speed is 1.1 Vstall. To an aircraft operating on sea, it's more difficult to estimate the performance because the force created when operating an airplane on sea are more complex, and it is more sensitive to a large number of variables such as drag, weight, wind, water surface, and actual. This figure 3 just basically illustrates how the force is going to be experienced on this aircraft, which like thrust, lift, drag, weight, loading force, and the resistance. This is basically some concept which has been introduced by aero and hydrodynamic group last week. And this is figure 4 and figure 5 shows the taking off from sea and landing on sea surface. So from those 2 graphs, we can notice that we can assume the rotation for taking off from rotation to climb. It's basically very similar with the takeoff from ground, and for the landing on sea surface, it's just from approach to free run. It's similar to land on ground. So I think I use the same formula for on ground to calculate those distance. So the only tricky part will be the starting distance for the taking off and the braking distance for landing. I use the numerical method from book General Aviation Aircraft Design, Applied Method and the Procedures. So A represents the acceleration calculated by this formula, and the thrust is just the empirical formula given from book. Now we use the iterator method about the velocity. So for the taking off, we iterate from 0 to 1.1 Vstall, and for the landing, we just do it reversely from 1.1 Vstall to 0. So then SS and SB can be found by this formula. So there are several limits for our using those methods. So I made some assumptions. for example, engine produces equal thrust and there is no wind and the water surface is perfectly calm. Pilot control inputs are ignored and the operation skill level of pilots is not considered. For the next few weeks, I'm going to obtain the necessary values from other groups to find the actual results and find the range of the central gravity and discuss with the rest of the satellite group members. And found the landing performance from 5 meters above sea to the sea surface, which might be a bit different. And compare the results with several similar verticals if possible, and compare the results with X-plane simulations. And I will use method from the paper read by Dr. Ericos, the design synthesis of advanced technology to recover takeoff and landing on sea. And finally, I'm going to know more about the mission performance. Thank you.
So now I can grill you on all the wrong assumptions that I made coming up with that formula and whether they're applicable.
I have a question, a recent question. How do you brake on the sea?
You use the first thrust reversal and
and that's being factored in with the propulsion, is it?
Yes, and
we can have the variable pitch.
So I'm going to diagrams to take off of landing. There were two phases, one called rotation and one called flare. Can you explain the name?
Yeah, you change it from that to that. You just change the direction.
On the left there's a rotate phase, and on the right there's a flare. What do these mean? I can't remember. So what rotates?
The angle.
What? So what? It pops up and down like this. And do you see these phases that you worked with the flight simulation guys? You see it? These phases are coming out there. They're not yet simulated.
If you go back one or two slides where you go over the method that you're going to use for for the rotation, find S rotated. There you go. So you say that you're going to use the same method as we used for AVD, taking the rotation time for that rotation distance. Roughly, what do you think this rotation time will be for the waterborne takeoff?
I think it would be longer than on phone, so maybe double.
Double. So considering the left-hand side of that equation, saying that it's the difference between lift-off, angle of attack, and ground angle of attack, that's going to be about double then of what it is for a normal aircraft.
I think ECTO it might be different.
Something to consider.
Yeah. So onto the submarine stability.
Yeah.
So it seems like this always crops up. But do you factor in when you're talking about stability in terms of diving, manoeuvring, etc., are you factoring in the fact that your centre of mass is going to change as you manoeuvre due to the fact that we've got these tanks which are, is it 200% buoyancy? So we have these tanks that are only half full.
I'm assuming that the center of mass, center of gravity of the submarine stays same.
But it won't do though, will it? Because if we're manoeuvring with these tanks that are only half full.
That would change the center of buoyancy, which
Okay, but also the center of mass, right?
I'm taking the center of mass to be a fixed point and the center of buoyancy to change according to how the volume of the air is placed in the vessel.
But I mean, we can imagine if we go around the corner like this underwater, and a lot of the water is chucked out, then our centre of mass is going to shift to the outside of the turn, right? Which could conceivably lead to a turning moment away from our turn angle.
I haven't considered it that way. The way I've considered it is that...
Or even down, if we're going down, or we can imagine the centre of gravity is going to be further down as well, which is going to lead to instability, right?
The main ballast tanks will always be completely full in...
But I thought the previous presentation we saw said that we had a 200%.
The 200% reserve buoyancy basically means that you've got the total volume of your ballast tanks when empty. It should be able to support twice the weight of the aircraft.
Right.
But it doesn't actually mean it's because for a typical submarine, they've got ballast tanks, and the ballast tanks should be completely submerged underwater. And when you need to rise, you just pump the compressed air to push the water up, and that's how they restore the reserve buoyancy.
Yeah.
So in a typical submarine, when there is a breach in the reserve buoyancy, so that there's puncture. So obviously the compressed air will never be able to push the water up because the air will just go up, will just leave the ballast tank. So that's why they rely on pumping the water up rather than the reserve buoyancy.
But I remember in last week that you had 3 different options, and the option you chose was essentially to just basically squash all of the water into the tank and leave it half full or 3/4 full or whatever it was. Has that changed then, has it?
No, that hasn't changed, but...
So therefore we can't possibly completely fill the ballast tanks, can we?
Yeah, that was the design for the ballast tanks to squash. You're correct to say that the water squashes the air.
Yeah.
What we could do for those kind of ballast tanks is rather than let the water slosh around, is actually have what's called? It's called a bladder tank inside the ballast tank. So the water and the air is separated by that rubber bag
Oh, I see.
that fills up. So that bag kind of holds the water in the tank.
So you can keep your centre of mass reasonably constant?
Yes.
Okay.
Additionally, often fuel tanks have sort of sections inside of them which aren't closed, but they prevent large movements of water, like suddenly moving from one side to the other.
Like a water if you go to the stability presentation, you said that for lateral stability you require that your center of gravity and your center of buoyancy are on the same axis. What does that require as far as the aircraft design is concerned?
It mainly requires symmetry as design. So the component placement should be if looking at a cross section. The center of gravity should be as close to the vertical axis as possible. Because if it isn't, there will be a moment down due to the upthrust, and it will cause the vessel to tilt when on the surface of the water.
You spent a fair bit of time actually talking about the metacentric height and where it has to be relative to the center of gravity. How would you find the location of the metacentric height coming to it?
There are equations that I can't come across to find the metacentric height. It's basically when the center of buoyancy shifts to a new equation as shown by the B apostrophe, a vertical line from that point to the line joining B and G. The intersection between those 2 points is the metacenter.
Okay. So you're going to be doing it graphically then, basically?
I still haven't decided, but I'm still doing further research into it. I have found some equations, but I'm not sure I understand them quite thoroughly yet.
So the position of the centre of gravity is needed quite urgently.
Yes, and it has to be as low as possible in order.
The same as your engines and your wing which is going to be flooded.
Yes,
Right,
we,
top
we'll
of
have
your
to we'll have to position our systems and like such as the batteries and things like that to make the center of gravity as low as possible.
Yeah, I can see it could be quite a big problem.
Yes.
A long way for a conventional aircraft. It's a long way for something.
Well, how to calculate the actual height, yeah. Looking into it.
Or we have
It's totally artificial, actually. It's just
It's purely from geometry.
Yes, can you explain again what it is?
So when angular displacement is subject when the vessel is subject to angular displacement, the center of buoyancy shifts to a new point, which is like B apostrophe, and the vertical line turning B apostrophe, and the line joining B and G. The intersection between those two lines is called the metacenter.
I think it's because the buoyancy, the CG has to be below buoyancy center, right?
on. Anyone else for stability? For performance, I have a quick question relating. You said that you're going to be estimating the balanced field length, and that FAR 25 regulations require this or that. Are we actually using FAR 25 regulations for this aircraft, or is there a requirement for balanced field length in nose stand and depth stand?
It's the same as.
So there is a balanced field length requirement.
It's the same. It's 1.6 for landing and 1.15 for takeoff.
Typically for military aircraft, it's mostly the. Sorry, 1.
Can I see a slide? So it's 1.15 of.
Oh, that's fine. No. But the actual idea of a balanced field length doesn't exist in military standards.
Yeah.
So that's not something that you need to do. And even if you did it, the method that you're proposing to use there is actually quite rough. You would have to do an actual balanced field length calculation. And that takes me on to the equation that you found for your waterborne takeoff. That. Can you explain what's going on there? So you've got your acceleration. What about the thrust?
Thrust is given by on level, so it's just a continuous format.
Okay. So that's an empirical method for static to maximum thrust. Do you expect that that's something you'll end up using, or will you depend on something else?
I think I will count something else, but this will give me a rough idea.
That's a general question. You have a huge number of equations in your presentation.
Yeah.
But do you have any idea? I mean, if I asked you to go through and explain what all the symbols are going to be at sort of 6 o'clock, if you had to pick one symbol per page, which was you were actually going to use to design something that's going to feed back to other groups. I mean, do you know what ones are really important and what ones are numbers you're going to get out of it right now? Like what changes, actual design changes, what's important? I don't really need a specific answer, but it would be much more clear if you could get that to me.
So basically, I know what I need from other groups, and I think the performance, the part doesn't differ to them. So the central gravity will be the key particle with us, rest.